Hello, my name is Dr. Jeff Harris. I'm in New Mexico in the southwestern part of the United States. The title of this presentation is Key Strategies Training for Psychotherapy Students, Lesson 8. Using multidimensional survey to choose a focal dimension. This is a video demonstration. My colleague Karunika Rao in Bangalore, India, is going to be helping with the demonstration and will be portraying a client that we are calling Raju. So hopefully you've had a chance to watch some of the other training videos, and particularly the lesson 8 explanation, the didactic video. But let me review a little bit about what we said about a multidimensional survey. So a multidimensional survey is used at the beginning of treatment, often during the second half of the first session or during the second session. We're teaching you how to conduct this survey after you've learned how to explore or change thoughts, feelings, or actions, so that when you practice a multidimensional survey, you will be prepared to move forward toward exploration of a chosen focal dimension. So we've told you how to explore and change thoughts. We've taught you how to explore and transform emotions. We've taught you how to explore and change behaviors or actions. And so now that you have those three options, we can go back to the beginning of the process where you might give a counselor, a client, how a counselor might give a client the opportunity to choose one of those three focal dimensions. So I want to point out that counselors may be reluctant to offer choices if they're not prepared to explore any of these three dimensions. So hopefully, after doing the earlier lessons and doing some practice in role plays with other students, you feel more prepared to offer these choices. So this goes back to the if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you've only been trained in a behavioral approach, then you might not want to give the client the choice to focus on cognitions or emotions because you don't prepare to offer that kind of treatment. So the idea of key strategies training as an integrative approach is that you are prepared to explore and change either thoughts, feelings, or actions. Um, so that's why we are providing the multidimensional survey training as lesson 8, even though when you're working with clients, the multidimensional survey will occur before exploration and change. So the method I'm going to be demonstrating today is using collaborative dialogue with a client to initiate treatment planning. And so in this demonstration with Raju, I'm going to survey Raju's thoughts, feelings, and actions associated with his presenting concern. The second thing I'm going to do is to explore the firing order, which is the interaction between these different dimensions. And then the third thing in my demonstration will be to establish a focal dimension, which part of the problem they want to explore and change first. So to conduct a multidimensional survey, it's often helpful to use a worksheet with 3 circles labeled thoughts, feelings, and actions. So I have one prepared, but if you don't have, but you can just draw 3 circles on a piece of paper if that's easier for you. So I'm going to go back to, so Karunikar, can you turn your camera back on? Okay, so this is my colleague Karunikar Rao, who is portraying a socially anxious client named Raju. And we're going to assume that this is during the second half of the first session. And I've already let Raju talk about his social anxiety in a general way. And now I'm going to focus in on these 3 dimensions, and I'm going to use this worksheet. So, Raju, we've been talking about your social anxiety in a general way, but what I want to do next is to talk about three different parts of your anxiety. And I'm going to focus in on thoughts, feelings, and actions. And I'm going to use this worksheet here. So almost any psychological problem, whether it's anxiety or depression or trauma or substance use, includes thoughts, which are the kind of our mental process, our our assumptions, our beliefs, our perceptions, our imagery, feelings or emotions, which are a little bit more physical reactions to a situation, and then actions, which is our behaviors. So let's let's describe your anxiety using these three ideas of thoughts, feelings, and actions. And I'm going to jot some notes down on this worksheet. So when you think about being socially anxious, when you think about your anxiety about talking to other people, would you like to describe your thoughts or your feelings or your actions first?
Yeah, I think feelings first.
Fe- Feelings? Okay. When you are in social situations, what feelings come up first?
Um, there's anxiety. mm,
And so anxiety, for many people, anxiety is a type of fear. When you feel anxious, do you feel fearful or are there other emotions involved?
Uh, it's fear only.
Fear. Okay. So, and in social situations, do you know what you're afraid of?
I'm afraid of criticism or making fault in front of others while speaking,
So
stammering.
criticism, and what was the other, making what?
Criticism or comments about my making mistakes
Okay.
while speaking.
So, so your social anxiety is a fear of criticism and fear that people might make comments about mistakes you made.
Yes.
So with the criticism, is that a fear of judgment? Is it a fear of rejection?
Um, it's a fear of making fun of me and taking me as a dumb.
Okay. So it makes sense that that part of the fear is being made fun of, and you talked about um that was an experience that you had growing up with bullies and stuff. So, so we're going to think of your anxiety as a fear of criticism, a fear of being made fun of. So when you are feeling afraid of criticism, um, do you want to describe your thoughts next or your actions?
Thoughts.
Okay. So
Thoughts.
when you are feeling this anxiety or this fear of criticism, what kinds of thoughts are going through your mind?
Mm, or I am going to speak faster and make mistakes.
So one of the thoughts is I'm going to speak faster and make mistakes.
And then people would not be interested in me, and they may take me very lightly, not seriously.
They'll take you lightly and not what?
They don't take me seriously even if I
Okay.
speak.
So so I've written down three thoughts. Um, I'm going to speak faster and make mistakes. People won't be interested in me and they won't take me seriously. So when you're when you're feeling anxious and afraid of criticism, when you think that people won't be interested in you, or that you'll make mistakes, or that they won't take you seriously, how does that impact your actions, Raju?
I, I avoid meeting anybody new, particularly uh, strangers and even friends also.
Okay. So it's interesting that you avoid meeting new people, and you sometimes avoid even friends that you already know.
Yeah.
So other than avoidance, avoiding friends, avoiding meeting new people, are there any other actions that are a part of your social anxiety?
Yeah. Whenever I get invitation or I am to attend some social gathering function, uh, till the time I make some excuses and get excuse from the party, I feel anxious.
Okay, so
So,
so so
mm,
one of the ways you avoid meeting new people and avoid seeing your friends is to make excuses to decline social invitations.
yeah,
Okay. So we've got some thoughts, feelings, and actions here. Um, the feelings are anxiety and fear of criticism. The thoughts are things like I'm going to speak faster and make mistakes. People won't be interested in me. They won't take me seriously. And so the actions are that you avoid meeting new people, avoid friends, and you make excuses to decline invitations. So we've got a description of each of these three elements. I'm wondering how they're related. Do you have a sense of what starts the pattern? Does it start with feelings? Does it start with thoughts? Does it start with action? I'm going to draw some arrows here. So where do you think the process starts?
I think it starts with firstly feeling,
It starts with the feelings. So you
yeah,
have that anxiety and that fear.
anxiety and fear is also there, and racing heart, some heart faster, fast beating of
Along
heart.
with those feelings are those physical sensations of racing heart. Okay. Okay. And so what happens next? Once you feel that physical sensation of a racing heart associated with fear and anxiety, does that directly impact the actions next or the thoughts next?
Then a number of thoughts arise in my mind.
Okay, so it starts with
Or
the feelings but moves on to the thoughts.
yes,
And then
yes,
so you start with anxiety and fear that's indicated by the racing heart. And then you start thinking, I'm going to speak faster and make mistakes. People won't be interested in me. They won't take me seriously. And then is the next thing the actions where those thoughts of they won't be interested in me, does that lead to the avoidance and the making excuses?
yes, yes. Actions are lost.
Okay. So I've drawn an arrow from feelings to actions and an arrow from thoughts. Oh, sorry, I said that wrong. I drew an arrow from feelings to thoughts and then an arrow from thoughts to actions. So
Yes.
so these are all related, and we can eventually all explore all three of these. But as we begin, sometimes people have a sense of where they should begin to focus. So if we're going to go into a little more depth with one of these areas, should we start by exploring feelings? Should we start by exploring thoughts? Or should we start by exploring actions?
I think if I can control feeling, then if there are no feelings, then it would be easy for me. So feelings must be getting controlled first.
Okay, so you want to start by exploring and trying to change some of your feelings or emotions.
Yes.
So what I would like you to do between now and the next time we meet is that I want you to pay attention to your emotions in particular. And so at least once a day, most days, I would like you to write down your feelings, and you can look at, also write down the thoughts and actions, but we're going to particularly focus on feelings. We want to understand this fear. And fear is an interesting emotion because fear is a adaptive response to danger. And so I want you to figure out, I want you to pay really close attention to what you're afraid of. So, are you afraid of being made fun of? Are you afraid of being teased? Are you afraid of being criticized? Often those social fears around criticism are related to fear of rejection or fear of judgment. And when we talk about this next week, what we're going to look at is whether your fears are based on something that's dangerous. So often criticism or rejection can be dangerous because if we are criticized by our community, if we're rejected by our community, that makes it harder to survive. So that's some of the exploration we'll be doing about whether your fear is related to something that's dangerous or not. The other possibility is that some of your fears are outdated, that the fears of criticism and the fears of being made fun of are maybe based on some things in the past, like the times that you were bullied as a teenager. So I want you to keep track of your fears during the week, and even I'd like you to write it down. So today, today my friend called me and I felt afraid, or I felt anxious, or I felt hesitant, or I felt angry, or I felt sad, or whatever. And then we'll go into more depth next week to explore those feelings, to try and understand them. Does that sound like a good place to start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so as we go forward, thoughts, feelings, and actions always interact, but we're going to start by focusing on your feelings and see if they are helping you or getting in your way.
That I will try to make note of these situations
Okay.
whenever I fear.
Okay. So that's our demonstration. Thank you, Karunakar. I'm going to pull the slides up again. So I think that so these were the 3 steps that I took. The first thing I did was to survey Raju's thoughts, feelings, and actions. And so Raju talked about anxiety. I asked him if anxiety was a type of fear, and we tried to narrow in what he's afraid of. And so in this case, Raju was afraid of criticism. Then Raju described the thoughts next, and there was a real specific one. I'm going to speak faster and make mistakes. And 2 more general ones: people won't be interested in me and they won't take me seriously. And then that led to avoidance, and Raju started by saying he avoids meeting new people, and then he said, oh, but I avoid friends too. And then a more specific behavior, that when he has social invitations, he makes excuses to decline those invitations. So another a more specific example of an avoidance behavior. The second part of this demonstration was to explore the firing order. And what Raju described was that it starts with anxious feelings and he talked about a racing heart as a physical sign of that anxious feeling. That led to then having some perceptions about what he's afraid of. So that's that attribution where I have a physical sensation, I experiences of fear, and then I'm using cognitions to explain that fear. And then the third part of the firing order was the actions, which was the avoidance. So that was the second step, of exploring the firing order. And then the third step was to establish a focal dimension. So I acknowledged to Raju that all three of these are related, but it may be helpful to start somewhere. He wanted to focus on feelings. And so I asked him to pay particular attention to his emotions during the coming week. And I gave a little bit of a preview for what that next section of exploring feelings might look like, to explore the feelings of fear. And the two previews I gave was, is your fear adaptive because it's related to something that's objectively dangerous, or is it a leftover reaction learned earlier in life? So that's how I do a multidimensional survey and look at firing order and establish a focal dimension. And then this prepares you for using the experiential skills, the cognitive skills, or the behavioral skills. And we also talked last time about we're describing how to work sequentially, but with more time and experience, you may be able to work more interactively. So that's lesson 8, demonstration for key strategies training. I hope that you've enjoyed all these videos and that they've given you a way to begin an integrative approach where you're using cognitive strategies, experiential strategies, and behavioral strategies. I want to thank my colleague Karunakar for helping me through this with the demonstrations. And so I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much for participating in Key Strategies training for psychotherapy students. Thank you. Thanks, Karunakar.
Thank you, Jeff.